you so much for joining our webinar. Okay, good day, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. On behalf of Bestax Chartered Accountants, I am delighted to have you with us. So Bestax is a leading financial consultancy and business advisory firm having over 19 years of experience with over 500 valuable clients. You can see on the screen the services that we offer: accounting, bookkeeping, VAT, real estate, AML, corporate tax, corporate service, business setup services, and more. You can check our information below as well. We have our email, contact number, and contact website. If you have any further questions or inquiries, you can contact us anytime and we will be happy to assist you. So also, if you would like to speak with our team during the webinar or after the webinar, you can simply email us or you can send your message. We have a chat box in the webinar. You can just put your question and we will answer to your questions at the end of this webinar. So thank you once again for joining us, and we hope today's session will be informative, practical, and valuable for you. Now, without further ado, I'll forward the screen to our first presenter. We have Maham.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing okay. I'll just quickly share my screen. So the first thing that we will discuss, which is very important when it comes to the business setup in UAE, which is the licensing authority. So we often see confusion between mainland and free zone and designated zones, what they are, which one we should choose, what is our business activity. So I'll just quickly explain and go through the jurisdictions one by one. The first one, as you can see, which we call mainland. As the name suggests, the mainland, it is considered like for the businesses who require a physical space and for whom having a physical space and a physical office is an absolute requirement in order to carry out their business activities. So for example, you can think if somebody wants to open a retail shop, if somebody wants to open a restaurant, then all such activities, they have to go under mainland license. As we all know, UAE has different emirates. We have Dubai, Sharjah, Ras Al Khaimah, Ajman, Fujairah. So all the emirates, they have one mainland, which is also called like the main trade license. We have one department for the mainland licenses. In Dubai, we refer to DED, which is Dubai Economic Department. In Sharjah, there is Sharjah Economic Department. In Ajman, there is Ajman Economic Department, and so on. So that is like a very easy differentiation to identify whether you would require a mainland license or not. The second type of very common license we hear about, they are called free zones. Free zones are also licensing authorities, and they get the term because of the tax exemptions that are offered, and we refer to these zones as tax-free zones as well. Now, these free zones, you can imagine they are smaller geographical divisions within each emirate. So, for example, Dubai would have like 10 to 11 free zones, Sharjah would have 4 to 5 free zones. So, apart from the mainland, you can imagine them as smaller geographical divisions within each emirate. They do have some restrictions, of course. The main one is of the physical office. So, for example, if you choose a particular free zone, then if you want to have a physical office, you can only have it within the geographical jurisdiction of that free zone. You cannot have it outside that area. So that is usually the only difference or only drawback, as you can say, for the free zones. Apart from that, they are ideal for entrepreneurs or for somebody who is just recently starting in UAE and in the Middle Eastern market, and it gives them an opportunity to tap into the business world without spending a lot of cost and expense. The third type of zones, which are not as common as the free zones or mainland, but of course they are there, and depending on the requirement and the business plan, they are preferred as well, which are called designated zones. So designated zones, you can also imagine them as gated zones, where they do have the opportunity for the qualifying free zones, where they get tax exemption even if they cross the corporate tax threshold of 3 million dirhams. So these are the basic like licensing authorities that we have. And again, depending on your business plan and your business requirement, you can choose either of these. And it is very important to choose a relevant zone. And it is job of consultants like us to let you know that, what are the zones which will be perfect for you. The second topic that we will be discussing today, it is the setup guide, like what are the steps that go into the business setup, how you get your company set up, your residence visa, and the bank account. So as you can see on the screen, the step number 1, which is the company formation. For the company formation of a free zone company, your physical presence is not required. It's a virtual process. Everything is done through your registered email address. However, if you are going to incorporate a mainland company, then your physical presence would be required. And again, these smaller things, they are guided by your business setup consultant to you. The timeline for the Company setup, generally for all free zones and the licensing authorities, it is 5 to 7 working days, in which the application is submitted to the authorities, the payment instructions and the signatory emails are sent to the relevant members of the company, and then at the end of the step, you get your company documents at your registered email address. The second step after that is the residence visa for UAE, which is mostly required in order to open a local bank account. At times, investors, they do not plan to stay in UAE. However, still, if they want to open a local bank account, having a residence visa is mandatory. For the visa, there are basically two methods in which you can do your process. You need to do your medical appointment. You get the result for the medical after 24 hours. Then you need to go and do your biometrics, which is your thumbprint. After that, you receive a digital copy of your residence visa, and then you get a physical Emirates ID card delivered to you or delivered to any address where it can be collected on your behalf as well. The standard process, it has 8 to 10 working days being Monday to Friday. Now, it is understandable that for a lot of investors, this timeline is not suitable for them to stay. So there is an option for the VIP process where the timeline is shortened to 2 to 4 working days instead of staying here for 10 to 12 working days. So this is kind of, you can say, a special treatment that is offered by Bestax, where we shorten the service period and we provide the appointments either same day or the next day. So after getting the approval, you can fly outside country, and we can also accept your physical Emirates ID in our office and have it shipped to you through DHL. So this is the process of setting up the company. Now, for the bank account process and all the details, I'll hand it over to my colleague, Atira.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. So let me just quickly share my screen. Hope you guys can see my screen. So the third important process is the bank account opening. Now you already aware how you can set up the company in UAE, which jurisdiction you need to select depends on your working model and whether you need a UAE residency visa or not. So it's always better to have a residency visa, and most of the physical banks in UAE require a residency visa. So once you have these both, the company entity and the residency visa, then the third important part is the corporate account. So the business bank account, there are a mandatory documents which is showing a legal existence of your company. So those are the first things. One is the trade license. So once your company formation is completed, you will get the a license from the authority. So if it is from free zone, you will get a free zone license, and if it is from the DED, you will get a mainland license. So that is the first important document. And the second one is company incorporation document and or the certificate. So company registration certificate is one thing. It depends on the authority. It will vary. Mainland authority, normally we will have the MOA and the license. And the free zone, it depends on the free zone. Some of the free zone will have the incorporation documents. And the other thing is board resolution that will show the authority of the authorizing signatory. For example, if your company structure have a more than one shareholder, then it should be for the bank, you need to show the board resolution document to show you have the power of attorney to handle the bank. That's the third document. Then the last one and the important one is the physical address. So if your license is in Dubai free zone, then definitely you will get a lease agreement from the free zone. If it is in DED, you have to arrange the lease agreement, you can buy a physical office or you can arrange a virtual ijari. But these documents are mandatory, and one of these documents, if it is not, then we cannot proceed with the bank account. So that is the first step. First, you need to arrange all the legal mandatory documents for the company. Then we can move to the second one. That is the proof of the business existence. So your model is legitimate and transparent. So we need to prove that in front of the bank. So the first document you can submit is corporate financials. For example, if your company already existing in any of the foreign countries, for example, UK company or any other country's company, you can share the documents of that company plus the bank account statement of the parent company. And the second one is the business profile. So we can prepare a business profile depends on how the business you are planning to operate in UAE and how it will be favorable to get the bank account very easily. So depends on that, we need to prepare a business profile or which called business plan. And third one is transaction proof. So to understand the bank, your business model is still legitimate, you can prepare or you can share the contract of some of the customers or the suppliers. So that one also we can help, depends on your business model and business activity. What are the proofs will be acceptable in the bank? We can guide with those. And the last one is source of funds. So bank needs to understand from where these funds are coming to set up the entity and an initial capital for the company. So this source of fund document, you can submit still the corporate bank account document from your home country, or if you are an employee and if you are using your salary to open the company, then the personal bank account documents we can submit. And the next part, once you have the all the documents, one is the corporate documents and plus the mandatory documents to show the legitimate of the business. Then the third one is for the owners and shareholders. So for each and every shareholder in the company, bank will do the verification, and you will get a KYC from the bank side. So these are the documents needed for the owners. One thing is the passport. It's mandatory. We cannot avoid it. We cannot proceed with any of the permanent residency document or travel document. Passport is the main document and only acceptable document, and it should be needed for all the shareholders, directors, and UPOs. And the second thing is residency proof. If you have a valid UAE visa, then Emirates ID, those copies we can present for the bank account opening. And most of the physical bank requires at least one of the shareholder needs to be the UAE resident. And the third one is personal background. For that, we can submit updated CV or resume, or if you have any professional profile like LinkedIn, we can use that profile also to show the personal background of the owner. And the last one is personal financial history. That's similar to the source of fund we discussed last slide. So it's you can submit, if the source is from your salary, then you can submit the personal bank statement. Or if the source of fund is from the a dividend or any money you already earned from your foreign entity, we can submit your corporate bank account. Those are the documents needed. So I hope you got it, what are the documents needed and what is the process for the KYC for the owners and signatories. Now I will hand over to my colleague Hasib so he can guide you through the tax compliance requirements.
Hi, Athira. Athira, can you share the screen for that slide, please?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Athira, for explaining the procedure. So, regarding the taxation requirements, although it mainly depends vary from country to country, UAE almost has tax treaties, double taxation treaties with every country except for USA, and there are a few other countries as well. These taxation treaties allow to avoid double taxations. So that is one thing. Now, within UAE, once you establish a company, there are two types of taxes. Number one is corporate tax, and then there is VAT. There is no personal tax in UAE. So at corporate level, there are two taxes. So corporate tax first. For corporate tax, the registration is mandatory. So, I mean, we have a lot of clients where they are under impression that because they do not have to pay corporate taxes, because maybe they meet small business relief eligibility, their revenue is below 3 million dirhams, so they don't pay taxes, or maybe they are a qualifying free zone persons and then they do not pay corporate taxes. So even if you are not required to pay corporate taxes, you still need to register. So this is mandatory for all the entities. The deadline for this one is within 3 months. So as soon as you establish your company, whether it's a mainland, free zone, offshore, any entity in UAE, the corporate tax registration you need to do within 3 months. For free zones, also the requirement is same. And free zones, like I explained, if your company is established in free zones, and if it's a qualifying designated zones, then in that case you can enjoy 0% corporate tax, even if your income is above 3 million dirhams. I would like to add a very small point in here is that we have clients so whether or not going for a qualifying free zone or a normal free zone, it varies from business to business. Because if you opt for a designated zones, the setup and the company costs are a little bit expensive. So it does not make sense, because if your revenue is below 3 million dirham, you should not opt for a qualifying free zone person, because your revenue is below 3 million dirham. So without being a qualifying free zone person, even if you're a mainland company, you're not paying any corporate taxes regardless. But yes, if your revenue is, let's say, $3, $4, $5 million, and your profits are above $2-3 million, at that time we can structure a designated zone, and then that designated zone can act as a qualifying free zone. Then once the company is established, you have filing and compliance requirements in UAE. For example, you need to maintain your records, books you need to maintain for 7 years. There are multiple softwares which you can use, for example, QuickBooks, Zoho Books, depending upon the number of transactions that you have. And you can maintain, again, maintaining records are, you need to maintain records regardless of paying taxes. So even if you're not paying taxes, you should be maintaining your accounting records just like any other country, especially, I mean, if you're coming from Europe, we have a lot of clients from Europe. So you guys must already be familiar with this requirement in your own country. Now the taxes, in UAE, there are, like I said, there are three criteria, three different scenarios. So number one is if your revenue is below 3 million dirhams, you do not pay any taxes at all. I mean, if it's below 3 million, even if your profit is 2 million dirhams, you do not pay any taxes. But if your revenue crosses, let's say, 3 million dirhams, in that case, the normal standard taxation applies. In normal taxation, we look into the profits of the company, where all the profits up to 375,000 dirhams, they are zero rated anyway. So even if your revenue up, let's say $100,000, so even if your revenue, for example, is 4 million dirhams, but your profit is $100,000 or less, then also you do not pay taxes. But let's say if your profit is $200,000, then you pay 0% tax on first $100,000 or 375,000 dirhams. And the remaining $100,000 you pay flat 9%. Unlike many countries, UAE has a very attractive, even like the lower corporate tax rate of 9%. That applies if you cross 3 million dirhams. So even if your revenue is above 3 million dirhams or below 3 million dirhams, the UAE's corporate taxes regime is always very favorable. So now to the next slide, VAT. Tira, can you move to the next slide? So so VAT is also there, yes. So VAT, like I explained, so VAT requirement is also there, but for VAT, it does not apply to every company. So if your clients are outside UAE and you are dealing in goods, especially not for services. For services, VAT applies in most of the cases. When I say VAT applies, it means that you need to do VAT registration, even if that could be zero rated. So for example, even if you are a service-based business where your clients are outside UAE, then you are not charging VAT. The VAT is zero rated, but you need to register for VAT, you need to do filing. And this is a point where a lot of clients I see every other day, they do this mistake and then they get caught with 10,000 dirhams of penalty for not registration, because they think that, oh, we provide services, all our clients are outside UAE, we do not need to register. So that is one thing. Registration for VAT is required if you are a service business, but for goods, it is not required. If you are a service-based business, or if you are in goods business, but your clients are based in UAE, then you need to register for VAT. So for VAT also we have two thresholds. One is mandatory threshold, and then there's a voluntary threshold. Mandatory, if your revenue, taxable revenue or taxable expenses crosses 375,000 dirhams, again 100,000 US dollars, it is mandatory. Below it is voluntary registration. Standard rate, in UAE, the tax rates are standard rated, 5% to zero rated. If it applies, like for example, you are into your clients are outside UAE, then it is zero rated. Then we have exempt supplies. This does not apply to a lot of, like, I mean, this category does not apply to most of the clients. Like I think only 1% or 2% of the company, especially if you are into financial sectors, then it applies. Filing returns is quarterly, or it could be monthly as well if your revenue crosses 150 million dirhams. So this is all in all. To summarize, UAE has two taxes. One is VAT, the second one is corporate tax. VAT is not applicable to all the companies, but corporate tax is applicable to most of the companies. Yes, Azira, thank you so much. So next, maybe.
Thank you, Hasib. I'll just quickly move to the common mistake. Since we are in this industry for more than like 10 to 12 years, so we can see what are the common mistakes from foreign owners, or even from the local owners when they're trying to set up the company or doing the complaints. So first thing is selection of wrong jurisdiction. So mostly what will happen is people will think, okay, my friend have a mainland company, so I will just go with a mainland. But you're not checking the activity, whether you need a mandatory mainland company. And what will happen is at the time of renewal or at the time of complaints, you will be really worried about, okay, I was not aware of this one. So just ensure that you're selecting the jurisdiction which is matching your business activity and your requirements, and definitely the one you can afford. So this one we strongly recommend each and every client to have a one-on-one consultation, and the consultant they can advise you which jurisdiction is a best suitable for your requirements and the working model you're planning. And the second one is selection of the business activity. So it's commonly there is a information, if you search in internet also, you can easily say it's not at all relevant. Whatever activity you can do apart from the activity you're mentioning in the license, that's completely incorrect. So at the time of an annual filing, whenever you're reporting to the tax authority, they can easily find out the activities you are doing, generally what activity you are doing, and whether it's matching with your a license activity. So whenever you are taking the license, you need to ensure that the activity mentioned in the license is matching to the activity you plan to perform here. So that's really important. And the third one is understanding about the recurring cost and compliance requirement. So mainly the recurring cost is the renewal cost. Most of the time, what will happen is people will think it's a one-time charges, and whenever the recurring a renewal is happening next year, we will get surprised. So understand that what is the recurring cost is, and also the compliance requirements related to the AML, KYC, tax, all those things. And the third one is delaying the corporate bank account preparation. So it's always recommended to use a UAE corporate account to do the business transaction. Mostly what will happen is you will open a company, you will get a residency visa, or you will continue with your foreign bank account to use the transaction to invoice the clients or to receive the payment. This is not at all recommended. So it's always better to open the corporate bank account as soon as possible. And the last one is ignoring the penalty deadlines for corporate tax and VAT. So in UAE, that is the main thing. Whenever you're missing any a small deadline related to tax, the penalty value is starting from 10,000 dirhams. That's the minimum penalty. So if you are missing the corporate tax registration, then it's starting from 10,000 dirhams, and it's very difficult to avoid or get rid of those penalties. So it's always important to keep in mind like what are the deadlines for corporate tax registration, annual filing, and what are the threshold for VAT registration, those things that already as we discussed, like what is the mandatory threshold and what is the like a voluntary threshold you can do the VAT registration. So these things also we always recommend the clients to have like a proper ongoing accounting and the consultation with our tax team and accounting team. So we can like keep you remind on like your document like renewal dates, your deadlines for the corporate tax, and what are the new announcement related to the complaints. Yeah, that's all from my side. Now I will just move to the next slide to Angela.
Yep, thank you so much for all your insightful information, Adira, Hasib, and Maham. And for everyone with us, thank you for staying. Now we move on to our Q&A session. We will just answer a few questions and regarding today's topic, and one of our hosts will provide the answers. So for the first question, is there any hidden expenses or fees after starting my business? This one Maha would answer. Can you please let us know, Maha?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Angela. So generally, there should not be any hidden fee or any surprise cost for the process. But unfortunately, people do face this problem, which can be a result of not discussing the process fully or having poor consultation at the start of the process. That's why even at Bestax, we prefer being very transparent and very upfront with all the costing. We let you know whatever are the additional costs that you might expect down the line. So it is very important that when you are taking consultation, you ensure that you have touched all the points and you have requested for all the costing. Normally, when you are doing the process and when you are taking quotes, there should not be any hidden cost or any surprise cost.
Thank you so much for your answer, Maham. Now, for the next one, I need gold trading license for import and export and a fintech license. Adira, could you please explain or give us more information about this?
Thank you, Angela. So these are the like a very popular business activities we are getting like from the clients. One is a gold activity, like you want to import and export golds in a raw condition or in a jewelry format. This business you can set up in a free zone, and it's say like as I explained, depends on your requirements. Like if you want a storage place or if you are planning to open a jewelry kind of thing, definitely you have to go for a mainland. Otherwise, if you're just preparing like a B2 or B model, and you just want to import and export like a gold in a raw format, then definitely we can do in a free zone. And one thing you need to keep in mind is any gold related activity which need an additional approval, SIRA approval. It's from the security agency. So if you are like importing or exporting or trading related to gold, this additional approval is needed. That also we can take under the free zone license and we can help you with that. So this approval, it will take like a 2 to 3 days, and like the costing, everything, it depends on what exactly related to the gold, how you want to do it, like in a raw format or in a jewelry format. So it depends on your model, we will guide. And the second activity, fintech, that is also you can do in a free zone, but not every free zone will support it. There are premium free zones like a GMCC. They have like a proper structure for a like a forex exchange structure, or if you want anything related to fintech, we can do in DMCC kind of premium free zone. And there is a definitely additional approval needed, which is from the virtual authority, that is VARA. And the second option for fintech activity is the offshore activity. So offshore you can do in RAC offshore. That is RAC ICC is one of the popular offshore, and like with less requirements and with less like a verification, and there is no VARA approval needed. So it depends on like if you need a like a Dubai visa along or the UAE visa along with your company, then definitely you can try the DMCC kind of premium free zone. Or if you just giving the importance for the license, then the visa is not at all a mandatory thing, then we can go for a offshore structure. So it completely depends on how you want to execute the model, the business. Yeah, these are the basic options, but still like if you are planning to do any gold related activity or anything related to virtual asset kind of crypto, forex exchange, anything, then you can take a one-on-one consultation, and based on that, we'll give you the model.
Thank you so much for your answer. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for your answer, Adira. We have more questions here from our audience today. What are the tax implications for foreign owners who take the profits back to their home country? Is there any sort of double taxation that applies? Hasib, could you please let us know more about this?
Yes, Angela. So UAE, like I explained, has double taxation treaties with most of the countries. And this is one very, very good question though. So in this one, if you structure it properly, you can actually avoid paying corporate taxes. So, for example, if you have a holding company, let's say in Canada, and it applies to most of the other countries as well, but you need to check that double taxation treaty. It's very easy. You can Google and see that if the country has a double taxation treaty. So, for example, if you have a holding company in Canada and then you establish a subsidiary in UAE, which is all operating in UAE, any profits that you make in that UAE entity subsidiary, if you transfer those profits back to Canada holding company, those are tax-free for Canada as well. So in UAE, you are not already paying taxes anyways, because UAE does not have a lot of those taxes. But if you transfer back that money back to your home country, that is also you avoid paying like huge corporate taxes. For example, in Canada, there are 25-30% taxes. So you do not pay those corporate taxes when you bring that money. But of course, it has to be structured properly, and then you can take benefit out of it, definitely.
Thank you so much for that. Another question, I'm sorry, Hasib. Is corporate tax and VAT registration mandatory for free zone companies?
Yes, it is mandatory. So honestly speaking, I mean, a lot of people confuse it with being a free zone company. They're like, I mean, a lot. So for taxation purposes, all the companies, they are mostly more or less same. So even if like regarding the compliance requirements, so even if it's a free zone company or a mainland company, tax registrations, if they are mandatory, they are mandatory. If they are not, they are not. For example, what I mean is that for VAT, if your clients are inside UAE, even if you're a free zone company, most likely you will have to register for VAT. You are required to register. Otherwise, it is not registered, even if you're a free zone or mainland company. But corporate tax registration is mandatory regardless of being a free zone, mainland, or any other jurisdiction in UAE.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now, for another question, what's the best company form if I do consulting out of UAE and or sell products out of UAE in different markets to different countries and get paid in UAE and pay supplier from my bank account in the UAE? Maham, could you please answer the question? Thank you.
Yes, sure. This is actually a very common form of doing business and setting up business in UAE, where mostly investors, they do set up a company here, but the actual business is being carried outside UAE. It is completely legal, and it's a very simple setup that is allowed. So depending on the service that you are providing and depending on the product that you are trading in, you have to select the relevant business activity. You can set up a local bank account, of course, as we explained the process. And then once everything is set up, you can start collecting money in UAE bank account, and your suppliers, you can pay through the same account. So this is like a simple setup that we do here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for your answers, Maham and Hasib and Atira. That brings us to the end of today's webinar. On behalf of, sorry, if we were unable to answer your questions or address your inquiries, please free to contact us in our contact addresses, emails, number, and website. You can contact us, send us a message, or email us, or call us anytime, and we will answer your inquiry. On behalf of Bestax, I would like to sincerely thank you. Thank you to our speakers, and thank you for everyone who took time to join us today. We hope this session has provided you with useful information and insights, and we look forward to staying connected, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.